Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Park Hopper Show. And with me is a frequent collaborator and maybe just almost the third cast member of this show. She's been on so many times, but it's Tricia Scott from visitmickey.com, and she is back. And we actually had to push this interview a week, and it might have been for the best because we have just been unloaded upon by D23. So, Tricia, how you doing?
Oh my goodness. I'm good. And yes, I agree. Pushing it back gave us all this information to be able to talk about. So that was really good. Good timing, even though it was not super planned that way.
Well, so there's so much to talk about. I have a list of all the different things that have come up, but before we start, what is new in your world? It looks like, I feel like it was this time last year, maybe we spoke, and you'd been everywhere. And I couldn't even keep up. And then we were planning this out, and I looked down. I'm like, she has taken 2 vacations since I texted her. What is happening? So
yes. Okay, so we had our family vacation in July. So our family vacation ended up being Pixar Fest in Disneyland, which is already over. It ended August 4th. However, if they're going to make this a summertime theme, oh my goodness, more people have to go. Pixar Fest was so very fun. All these, Pixar characters for meet and greets, we were like, how do we get to them all? And previously, Pixar Fest years ago was only in Disney California Adventure. So this year, it actually was in both parks. And so that was fun to be able to kind of go back and forth and enjoy the Pixar Fest of each park. I think maybe my favorites to meet were Wade and Ember from Elementals. They were such a cute couple and so like off the screen, right? Like off the pages of off of the movie. Like some of the other people didn't feel that way. They didn't feel like they just jumped out of the movie to come meet us. But they did. They were perfection.
Well, I was going to ask then, so you're a Disney person, you're a Pixar person as well? Are you?
I am. I would say I'm definitely Disney, Pixar, Marvel. So not so Star Warsy.
Yeah.
I enjoy the movies, but like all these offshoots, I can't. Well, I could not get invested in Mandalorian, Andor, all these other ones that have come out. I just can't get invested in them. Though there are people who are Star Warsy that aren't Marvel-y, but I am definitely Marvel and Pixar and Disney.
Well, if you want to hear my thoughts on the expanded Star Wars universe that's keep coming, the last episode I talked with a Star Wars expert, and she tried to help me get back into it because that's what my childhood was. And then I'm the same with you now. I'm like, there's so many things going on, and I don't understand a bit of it. So, well, what would you say?
It's definitely so much, so much. And it's funny. I don't know that Marvel is any less.
Oh no, it's
somehow,
not.
Right? It's not, but yet somehow Marvel has held my attention and Star Wars hasn't. I guess because I wasn't a super geeky Star Wars person to begin with. I'm still one of those, those three originals. You know what I mean?
Oh, I heard the G word. That's fine. Geeky. That's okay. I think maybe the big disconnect for me for Star Wars is they're all in the same universe and they all look so different because some of them are almost 50 years old. Some of them are all complete blue screen. And then some of them are new, amazing technology. And I just have a hard time. It's like if you took, the old Roger Corman Fantastic Four that they made, they tried to make 60 years ago and threw it in now. And that actually might even work. They figured it out with Marvel, with Deadpool. They just they wink at you and say, here you go. But I was going to ask you, with Pixar Fest, what is your favorite Pixar movie? We'll get a hot take from you. You had to pick one, not a franchise.
I will say, I am not a favorite person. I'm not a favorite person. my favorite is almost whatever one I'm watching right now.
Oh.
It's like I enjoy in the moment. I'm definitely an in the moment person. So in the moment, it seems like whatever I'm doing is my favorite at the time. And then when I do that, and I'll be like, oh my God, this is my favorite. I love it. And then I do the next thing, it feels like my favorite. So I very like live in the moment. I do feel like we as a family watch Ratatouille kind of on the regular and Elemental kind of on the regular, and some other movies we don't watch on the regular, like Brave, for example.
Yeah.
I think, we've seen that maybe 3 times all together. It's not a once a quarter or once every 6 months kind of movie for us, where some of the other ones definitely fall in that. My husband's hardcore number one, The Incredibles. His is in The Incredibles #1. And then I don't know, my kids might feel differently, but I will say, if we're going to talk about Pixar, they ruined Toy Story with Toy Story 4. It was ruined. And why are they even bothering with 5? They ruined it with 4. They should have stopped at 3. 3 was perfection. It ended perfectly. And then 4, they took the characters and changed their personalities. Why? And now you're going to have a 5th? How? I mean, who's left, right? Like Buzz is there, but Woody and Bo Peep, they left. They abandoned
not
their
according
person,
to the trailer,
which is against. I know, but isn't that against everything Woody has ever done? Yes. Abandon your child. Ugh, I was so disgusted, and now I'm like, and now you're making another one. I may not even see it. I may even boycott that movie personally. I won't tell other people to boycott it. I won't see it until it comes to Disney Plus and I could see it for free. I won't pay for that.
Well, I was going to say,
hardcore.
I could tell you why they made it, because they enjoy money, and it's a guaranteed success, I think. But I am with you. That first one, and my children don't understand this timeline and this perspective of, do you know how often we got animated movies and what a revolution this computer generated, Toy Story was, and just how amazing it was? And they look back and go, this is kind of bad. And I'm like, no, this was when this came out, this was high tech, whatever. And that second one, me and my daughter watch and just cry. And then the third one, we watch and just cry. And I'm like, I can't watch these anymore. We can't. There's so many Pixar movies that are so good that I can't. The first Inside Out, never one time watched it, said perfection. Like that movie, 10 out of 10, never watched it. Can't even, it's on the room, leave the room, it's rough stuff. So, but that fourth one, you're right. I mean, Bo Peep was a lamp at the beginning, right? She could barely move. She had a big porcelain dress, and now she's some kind of ninja, and it just doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. It didn't track at all.
But I can't get over Woody abandoning his child.
Right.
They totally changed his personality. I'm like, for how old Andy's dad is? You know what I mean? Like, because it was a passed down toy. So you're going back in time, like he's had these hard, strong beliefs for all these years, and all of a sudden, I'm going to give up my kid. So, and he fought Forky which I'm sorry, I hated Forky.
Get out of here. He is trash. He is trash. Well, in the movie, he was trash.
Get rid of him.
But that Forky asked a question. We love it. I love those on Disney Disney Plus, those shorts. But that movie, he just kept jumping in the trash. And let him go. Let him go.
Let him go.
Oh,
yeah. Woody, what is your problem?
Oh, I love the guy that plays
She will cry for a day and she'll be over it. I hate to tell you.
Oh man, I don't have it near me. I have a box of little things that my daughter has made like that, and she's really gotten into pipe cleaner art. So it reminds me of that a lot. And she's like a festive little crow is what I call her, because she just brings you little gifts all the time. And she's like, I made this, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And then
yeah,
the fact that she's in her room thinking about me and just wanted to make me like a little thing is sweet, but it's a lot of them Forky adjacent quality of things. Like, I don't know what to even do with this, but
yeah, I mean, for a little while, I get that, but I mean, the lengths that they went to in Toy Story 4 for that Forky character, so over it. And then for him to abandon Bonnie, who when they finished Toy Story 3, I said, perfection, perfection. I had never seen that moment. Oh my gosh, crying, perfection. I can't believe they found a way to wrap this so perfectly and then ruined it.
Well,
So that is my feeling on Toy Story. So it's my one not favorite, I could say for sure.
well,
My anti-favorite.
From a filmmaking perspective, I thought it was a little. They had a little. It was a little convenient. The aliens. Spoiler alerts for Toy Story 3 if you've ever seen it. When the aliens swoop in and grab him with the crane, I was like, well, that's. I'm glad they didn't let him die at the end, but man, they all hold hands and they just accept their fate, go into the fire. I went, well, this is a children's show. What's happening?
And then amazingness, right? And that, agreeing to go to live with Bonnie. I mean, the whole thing ended perfectly and then blah.
Yep.
So I actually have only seen Toy Story 4 at the theater.
Mm-hmm.
I refuse to watch it any other time. And I refuse to give them my money for number 5.
Well,
so
I do like the idea, the concept. I think is a great idea. If they'd have skipped 4 and gone right to the people who are on their tablets instead of their toys, that's amazing. But
yes. If they would have gone right to 5, I agree with you. But how like some franchises, like even number movies are good and odd number movies are not so good, or vice versa. 2 was good, but I thought 1 and 3 were better.
Oh, that song in 2 gets me every time.
That song, oh my gosh, yes.
Get out of here with that business.
Yes. Well, matter of fact, it's in my Disney soundtrack. My on my phone.
Come on. When do you want to have that song on? That's a day ruiner.
Well,
for me.
but no. It's in the rotation. Now I have to skip it when I'm in a good mood. You got to skip it. When I'm busy, I don't have time for it sometimes, but other times I can sit back and go, "Oh, this is so good." But
well, my children, they don't enjoy Dad falling apart, so we just try to keep it far away. Now, let me pitch this to you, and then we can just push this Toy Story taste out of our mouth. What about the opening scene, Toy Story 5? Even though you won't see it in theaters, it's bumpy. They wake up. Not Andy. Woody wakes up and Toy Story 4 is just a dream. I just pushed all that out. Forky's gone. Him and Buzz are like, okay, it's Christmas morning. What a terrible dream. Something happened. And they just retcon all of Toy Story 4. Was that too cheap, though? Is that too convenient?
I don't know.
Because people didn't seem to love 4. The consensus seems that 4 is not great. And I was a little worried that Pixar was kind of losing their way. We had a couple rough ones during COVID, but this new Inside Out, loved it.
Well, Inside Out 2 was so good. So good. And then it goes, I don't know if you remember, John Lasseter came out when he was still in charge and said, no more sequels.
Well, everyone says it every year, but it doesn't
happen. Yeah, we have new ideas. We're going to move forward with our new ideas. Well, Inside Out was one of those new ideas, I think, right? And it was fabulous. I would like to see a few new ideas. I know that we already are not talking about what we're going to start to talk about, but all these movies, I could stop this live action stuff too. Oh. Yes. When stuff is perfect on celluloid, perfect in computer animation, why are we creating live action that cannot live up to it?
Well,
it's driving me crazy.
If this was an Instagram clip, I would just cut into the bow bow and then the box office for the Lion King live action that made more than $1 billion and was unwatchable to me. I tried to watch it and it's like, well, congratulations. It looks like a nature movie. They're speaking, but I don't care. I don't like if you showed it to someone 100 years ago, they would freak out. They'd say in the future, the animals can sing and talk and do all sorts of stuff, but they weren't charming. There was no soul to that movie at all. It was just.
I get there's money, but I feel like they're out of ideas, and that's what's scary.
Yeah.
You know, you can't be out of ideas. These are the smartest, most creative people on earth. So let's be creative and let's think of something new. Now I'm gonna circle back a little to my family vacation. Family vacation was twofold. It was Disneyland for 5 nights,
Well,
and
that's
then
a good
we
one.
drove to Hollywood for some Disney um Disney adjacent vacation.
Hmm.
So um going back to 25 years ago, uh Diane Disney, which is Walt's daughter, sold the family home. So and this is the one where the pool with the girl's little house
Hmm.
just off the house, overlooking the Hollywood Hills with the train that goes through the Rose Garden, the whole 9 yards. So a lot of people know about that house because they've seen Walt video. So this house is sold, and the owner, the new owner who purchased it, says to Diane Disney through the realtor, um, we're actually tearing down this house. We're not living in Walt's house. That's not what we're doing. We're tearing it down and building a home because the view is the Hollywood Hills and it's a great view. So if there's anything that she wants out of the home, she needs to get it by such and such a date.
Hmm.
Okay. So when she hears that, she's like, okay, like obviously there's nothing you can do when you sell a home. You can't go, hey, we're going to rip up this and rip up that and we're going to take this with us. You're selling the home, and maybe they were going to find a Walt person who I wanted to live like Walt, but they didn't. So she immediately says, wow, our barn, there's a red barn on the property that was Dad's like first kind of like office where he'd go and tinker. He'd come home, he'd pet the dog, have a little drink, play with the kids, and then go out to the barn and tinker. That's where the trains were built. That's where Imagineering was. That's where he'd have the people over to discuss plans that were like uber private, like Disneyland. So, she's like, oh my gosh, so much happened. And they actually called it within the family, and the 9 old men called it the first Imagineering building. So after they had Imagineering buildings, they called it the first Imagineering building.
Hmm.
So, um, she's like, I gotta save it. I gotta save it. So she contacts these train enthusiasts in Hollywood, who have a place in Griffith Park, and say, if I give you my dad's train, can we move his barn on property? And you guys take care of it, and we'll create an endowment for it. And of course, they're like, yeah. So the Carolwood, which is the address of the home on Carolwood Drive, the Carolwood barn exists in Griffith Park for the public to see and go through and look at. And there's some stuff that you could do there. They have Walt train track. They have some of his trains, but not like the locomotives. The locomotives are retained by the museum and a few other places, like the Little Lily Bell. Those still exist for the Disney family, but some of the cars are also owned by now the Carolwood Barn place. So they had an event, the 25th anniversary of the Carolwood Barn moving. So then she contacts Disney and says, hey, Disney, we have to retain Dad's building. Will you move it piece by piece to the new place? So they did. Disney was like, of course. So Imagineers came out and they moved it. So I went to the 25th anniversary of the moving of the barn at Griffith Park at the Carolwood Barn place where they have the trains.
Hmm.
And they had a very, very, very special event. Tiny number of tickets sold. I had no idea till I arrived how few tickets there were, but they had a special evening at Uncle Robert's house. So Uncle Robert is when he moved from Missouri to Hollywood. His uncle already lived there, so he stayed with Uncle Robert. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where he created the 100-year contract, October 16th of 23, the contract that said, I am now signing with the Alice Comedies for Walt Disney Corporation. And that was done at that house. Okay.
Oh, cool.
I know there's a lot of backstory. So the family, the Disney family, had an event at Uncle Robert's house, very low ticket sales, 20 tickets. 20 tickets were sold. I had no idea. It was like this tiny, tiny number of tickets. So they had Disney, I want to say Disney legends, but like Disney celebs were there. So Floyd Norman, animator, first Black animator at Disney Corporation, in charge of the Jungle Book. He was the story guy for Jungle Book. He was there. I actually had some work done by him. I had the three fairies from Sleeping Beauty done by him, like commissioned by him.
Oh, wow.
And so he was there. Don Hahn was there. So Don Hahn, director, producer of the Beauty and the Beast franchise, both live action and animated, and Lion King, both live action and animated. He was in charge of Hunchback also. And now he does documentaries, things like if you go to the Nat Geo area and look at oceans, chimpanzees, and some of the other ones. Mm-hmm. Those are all Don Hahn. He was there. Alice from the Alice Comedies, her daughter was there, and she brought tons of stuff for us to go through and look at. Alice's Legends Award was there. Cans of film were there. I mean, it was mind-blowing. Mm-hmm. So this is the home Walt lived in. The garage was there. Now the garage was torn down and rebuilt to the exact specifics of the old garage because it was falling apart. So it looks physically like the same garage, but it was a rebuild. And based on all the pictures they had. So the garage that the Alice Comedies were done in, boom, that was there. The house was there. Where he lived was there. I mean, it was just like, oh, wow. You talk about like 6 degrees of separation.
Right.
And I was in awe.
That close.
In awe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That close to Disney himself. That's amazing.
Yeah. His car. His last car was there, which was a 230 SL Mercedes-Benz convertible.
Nice.
Or no, not convertible. Not convertible. But beautiful. Oh my gosh. Beautiful car. So his car was there, and it actually was at D23 as well, because I was watching people's pictures and they had it at D23. So it is all owned by the family again. So Diane Disney's daughter, Joanna, owns the home now. She did have to buy it. It had like left the family and had to get back into the family. So she now owns that home. And when I arrived, so like, I am not familiar with LA traffic. So I'm like, I'm going to go early because I want to make sure
it's a good call.
I am there. It was like a 5 to 8 p.m. event. I'm like, I don't want to miss a minute of this. So I'm going early. So, and again, you hear about LA traffic, and I didn't want to get there late. I didn't want to miss a minute. So I get there early, and a guy walks out, and I just am on the sidewalk, making sure I was at the right place, at the right home. Mm-hmm. And they're like, are you here for the Walt event? I said, I am. I said, I know I'm a little early, but I'd rather be early than late. And they said, okay, we're going to ask you to hang out here on the sidewalk for at least another 15 minutes. That's when the event starts, and we'll start letting people in. So then this lady walks up and shakes hands with the guy. Says, what's going on? They're like, well, we're going to start the line here and have people come in at 5 o'clock. And she goes, oh, and it was Joanna Disney.
Oh, wow.
And Disney Miller, right? So because her dad is Ron Miller. So her last name is Miller, actually, but then they're hyphenating Disney Miller. Anyway, so she's like, no, what are you waiting for? Nothing's going to happen new in the next 15 minutes. Come in. So I got to be the first person in and like look at the house and get pictures before a lot of people got there. And wow. So because I'm me and because I know a lot of the artwork and I know a lot of the movies and I'm good with the classic stuff, the backdrop images that they would have put, so the backdrops of Bambi were there, like the
Oh,
hand-drawn
wow.
pencil drawings backdrop of Bambi that they
Hmm.
would put the celluloid over and draw the main characters on. So if you think about that very first scene in Bambi where there's like a little mouse hiding and there's like a leaf of water coming down, that's there. That's in the
Wow.
house. And I'm
It's the
like,
best rope drop you've ever done.
oh, yes,
Yeah.
it totally is. Um, so wonderful. So wonderful. And it took me a minute. It took me a minute to get kind of like, all right, let's go talk to some of these Disney legends,
Hmm.
right? Because there were maybe 35, 40 people there total, but the legends were invites.
Hmm.
And then there were like about 20 tickets sold. So I had no idea. Honestly, I had no idea it was this exclusive because I was on the website at the second it went on sale. I bought my ticket.
Hmm.
And then I was like, okay, I got my ticket. And I went back, I think the next day just to see if tickets were still available and they were sold out. And I went, okay, well, it's a hot ticket. I'm sure
Right.
that's why it's
Right.
sold out. I had no idea. It was just so incredibly limited. So that was really wonderful. But I will tell you, most of the people there were like Club 33,
Oh,
like they,
la-di-da.
I know this because they were wearing their Club 33 jewelry.
As they
Otherwise,
should.
I would not know
But
because they
that's,
want people to know they're Club 30.
listen, that's the kind of fame the Disney legends there have where you can, your people know you, but you could go down the street and people don't go, whoa. And that's the kind of
Really.
money the Club 33 people. That's if I had money, that's what I would spend it on. That kind of thing, where I wouldn't have a Ferrari. I'd have. I'm just going to go to my Club 33 access. And no big deal. Just flip up my hand and have some kind of special
Yeah.
ring or something on. Yeah.
That video, like there would be signs.
Hmm. Oh
Yes,
yeah.
that would be my sign too. Club 33 would totally be my sign that I had money. And have money or got the lottery, whatever it is.
Right.
So, but definitely it took me a minute. Took me a minute to be like, okay, let's go. That's why you're here. You're here to see the house, get that feeling, but also talk to the people. So I had some of the funniest conversations. I had a little bit of a sad moment too. Because one of the people I could not wait to talk. I mean, I thought I could spend an hour talking to this person. And unfortunately, he has like forgotten. He's like, I don't know what he has. I don't know if it's like a dementia kind of thing or a, Alzheimer kind of thing. I don't know, but they're still kind of living in the past,
Hmm.
right? So like I had questions that I just wanted to talk about and they didn't have a lot of short-term memory. So that was hard for me because I was prepared. I was
Hmm.
prepared to talk to this person, could not wait to get in front of this person, like one of the people I really look up to. And then I'm like, he did not, yeah, he wasn't with it. And so I went and talked to his wife and I said, I wanted to talk. And she goes, well, did you go talk to him? I said, well, I tried, but he didn't really remember. And she goes, oh, honey, he doesn't remember. I mean, like, he'll have moments
Hmm.
and he'll have moments where he can remember the past. He can remember the old nine men. He can remember this and that. He's like, but honey, he's not gonna remember. And I'm like, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So it made me sad, but I pushed on and met some other people. Um, I met some people who work for Disney that were like, it's a job.
Oh, get out
This
of
is a
here.
job.
Just tell those people can leave. Beat it.
And I was like, excuse me? No. It's not a job. This is
It's the job.
fantasy. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm like, this is the job, right? And she's like, it's a job. I'm here because I have to be here. I'm like,
Well, am I ruined?
do not say that to me.
Am
I
I
do not want to
ruined?
hear those words coming out of people's mouths.
Well, whenever they're like, this is an exclusive event, there should be at least like 12 people with videos on YouTube that are like full coverage of it. But I mean, this is exclusive. None of this even made it out. It's weird in this day and age to just, you got to see it and no one else did. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they did have a very strict rule about inside the house. Inside the house, you were allowed to take pictures, you were allowed to take video, but it was not for public. Oh. So I have pictures of the house. I have video of the house, and I will probably look over it many times throughout the years. But I've agreed, right? You actually sign a contract that you won't share it. But
those are fancy tickets.
I mean, stuff like that. Yeah, stuff like that. You know how it is. Like it's in the small print of your ticket that you will not share. But I did go up to both Joanna and her two sons, which were lovely. One super, super, super shy, hated any attention whatsoever. And the other one perfectly willing. The older son gets it, can remember being with Grandpa on Main Street, USA. Wow. It's funny, they said one of the things in their memory was he would have, I'm sure you probably heard where they talk about Walt would hand out his signature. You ever hear that? Where he would just hand people. So people would run up to him, and it's actually, there is a moment in Saving Mr. Banks where they show that. There's a moment where they show him handing out what looks like a business card. It's a business card with his autograph on it.
Oh, that's amazing.
And just, so the one grandson said, so the one grandson said that he remembered, he's like, I do remember being with my grandpa on Main Street. And when we were there, we were his priority. And if people came up, like he remembers being able to look out the window and watch him kind of, really engage with the guest. But he said, when we were with him, no, I'm with my grandchildren now. Here you go. And he would hand him a card, and then they would keep moving with his autograph. So amazing. He said he remembered him being up in the office, in the apartment, signing a bunch of cards so he could be prepared for the people who, when he had kind of indicated he wasn't taking guests at the moment, and people came anyway, he was prepared with a card.
That's a good idea. I want to say it's Steve Martin does something like that now. And I mean, he may have gotten that idea from him because he used to work at Disneyland where
sure did.
He doesn't do photos, but it's like, here's proof. And you're like, I met Steve Martin or something. I believe it's him that does that. So that's another, if I was famous, that's a good idea. No, I don't have an hour to give everybody that recognizes me, but just between us. Sure. I love it. Yeah. Well, I've never seen those cards, but I bet that's probably some people's, that's a great collectible.
It's so expensive to get his actual autograph. I haven't seen his autograph, much less. I mean, $850 seems to be like the going rate for a card with his autograph on it, authenticated.
Yeah. Oh, well, authenticated. So my copy of Toy Story 3 on DVD that's autographed by Walt Disney is probably not real. It was just $50, so I don't know.
They have many times you can buy it electronically re-imaged, where they have like it's like a machine that writes his autograph, like it's been taught to write his autograph. So it's not a stamp. Right. It's actually pen written, but they just taught a machine to write his autograph. So there are some pieces of artwork, and I own one, but I own one because it was at a garage sale, and it's authenticated on the back. But when you read the authentication, it says that it is a recreated signature, mechanically recreated signature. Okay. So, but someone I'm sure paid more than $50 for it. You know what I mean? Like I got it for 20, or I think I got it for $20. It was like just at a garage sale, and I saw it at first. I was so excited. I'm like, and I turned it over. I'm like, okay. Oh, okay. That's why it's only $20. Right. But then there might be someone who would not know to charge more than $20 on his actual autograph. It's like, grandma died. Here's her junk. Do you want it? Like those are the garage sales I need.
Oh yeah. I always hear those stories. My kids my daughter really is. She watches all these things about retro gaming, and we're just like, somebody dies, and they're like, well, we have this box of old things from the '80s and late '70s in the
Yeah.
attic, and all in the box still. He never really played with them, and it's all worth thousands of dollars, but
Yeah.
but
I'm
now
going to do
everybody
something on my
knows.
computer
Sure.
for a second because this is driving me crazy. It may not bother you, but it's bugging me because all the
Okay.
sound was behind my computer, so I'm flipping it around.
Oh, okay.
I can hear you much better now.
Oh,
Yeah.
fantastic. Well, all right. Well, we can reset, and we'll get back into. Man, I feel like that is a once in a lifetime vacation you just had. So,
That was. So we stayed at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel.
mhm.
So I don't know if you know much about it,
Oh,
but it has been there since 23 or 28. I can't remember, but the very first Oscars were at the Hollywood Hotel,
okay.
Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel. And Marilyn Monroe lived there when she was married to DiMaggio.
Hmm.
And so they had like the penthouse. And some other people live there as well. Famous people have died there too. Anna Nicole Smith died there. So there's lots of ghost stories from the hotel.
Actually, now that you start
There's
saying this, I know what you're talking about. I have heard these stories. So, all right, I'm familiar with this hotel now.
So it's right on Hollywood Boulevard. It's like directly it's catty corner from the Chinese Theater, just down from the Pantages Theater, like 100 feet down from Pantages Theater, and across from it, Grauman's, and also across from the Dolby, which is where the Oscars are filmed. So, and they literally like close Hollywood Boulevard down. They roll out the red carpet. They clean it because this street is disgusting. I mean, this is just a normal way and a normal day. This place is disgusting.
That's what I've heard.
But Hollywood Boulevard, when you're having the Oscars, I feel like they like come through and polish it, and all the Walk of Fame stars look beautiful, but on a regular day, not so much. But we were there, because it's iconic. Also, it was only 15 minutes from the Griffith Park where the Carolwood Barn event was. I do want to tell you a quick story. I will try to make it quick because I kind of feel I am storyteller mode where I tell you every detail. All right. So this is day 2. So day 1, Uncle Robert's house. Also, fun fact, when him and his brother, when Walt and his brother were ready to move and they had made enough money to leave living at Uncle Robert's house, they moved directly across the street. This old lady had a room that she was available for rent. And so all they did was move directly across the street. So I have a picture of that house as well. Okay, so that's night 1. And it was fantabulous. Oh, Scotch mist. Do you know that that's Walt's favorite drink? Walt and Lillian had a Scotch mist just about every night.
No, I did not know.
We were serving Scotch mist. And some restaurants serve Walt's favorite drink, the Scotch mist.
Now, what is that?
However, it's very interesting. They serve it wrong, and I will tell you what it is. So it is crushed ice, almost crushed to the point it's almost kind of shaved ice, like, really, really fine crushed ice, and then Scotch. And the granddaughter said, and I don't know, like I'm repeating some of these stories, but she said that she remembered being young and when she got to stay at Nanny's house, and Grandpa and Nanny's house, that at the end of the night, they would get their Scotch mist and they would cut a peel of orange and the peel would twist. When they would cut it, they would throw like a peel or 2 into their Scotch mist. And after it sat there a while, they would take it out, give it to the granddaughter for them to suck on and send them to bed.
I mean, that's a good idea. I'm not that I condone that, but I've had kids that don't want to go to bed. So
listen, it was a different time. We're so uber protective
right
today, right? And it
think
was
that,
like, here, they wanted the orange peel. Sure, you can have the orange peel. But in all the Disney restaurants, they serve it with a lemon peel.
oh,
And yet, Joanna confirmed that no, it was always an orange peel.
is it a
So,
lemon
like,
pill?
I learned that. I learned that by going to the event.
Do they give you a lemon pill because kids are less likely to want to suck on the lemon pill and they don't want them giving it to
I
their children?
I think in the restaurant world, it's cheaper to have
Oh,
lemons.
well, for sure. Yeah. If you've bought orange juice
Yeah,
lately, yes. Oranges are
yeah,
very rare
yeah,
apparently now. So,
yeah. So, but yeah, so they actually did drink it with an orange peel. So they would just peel off a piece of orange, twist it, throw it in their drink, and then, so it's a glass of scotch. That's what it is.
what it sounds like to me is a Scotch snow cone, sort of. So,
It is,
to call that a
it
drink,
is because it is turned into a watered down scotch
yeah,
for sure.
some
So,
shaved
but
ice.
that's how it's called a Scotch mist, and that is what they drank. And Lillian too. It wasn't Walt's drink. Walt and Lillian would both have a Scotch mist at the end of the night.
Well,
So they were serving them. And they were serving Johnny Walker, but I do understand that that was not the one that he had in his house day to day, but that's what they were serving at the event. Okay, so we're going to skip ahead. We meet Don Hahn, we meet Floyd Norman, we meet some other people, Alice's granddaughter, or Alice's daughter from the Alice comedies, and some other people too that are not so public figures who are Disney people, right? So we got to meet those people too. All right, next night is at the Carolwood Barn in Griffith Park, and it is a barbecue. So this is to celebrate the 25th anniversary, and they're going to do like the official dedication. So 25 years ago, they dedicated the moving of it with Diane Disney, the daughter of Walt and Lillian. And now the granddaughter, Joanna, was doing the 25th. Okay. All right. So there's your background. Now, I had already met some of the people and I was excited to meet them. So now I'm seeing them for the second time. So I'm like, okay, now approaching isn't as hard as the first time I had to approach. So, all right. So Don Hahn, I knew I wanted to get Don Hahn, who did the directing of Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, Hunchback of Notre Dame, director / producer on those different movies, and now documentaries. So I'm like, I really, really, really want to get my husband in front of him because he will geek out. And I want to get my daughter in front of him. So I'm looking for my husband. His name's Mark. Looking for Mark, looking for Mark, looking for Mark. And every time I see Don, I can't find Mark. So I'm like, all right, they had a Chinese auction and silent auction. So I go, let me go do some silent auction and Chinese auction stuff. And in the process, I find Mark. Who's he with? Don Hahn. So I walk up and I go, looking for you because I wanted to introduce you. And Dad's like, what? Are you kidding? Oh my God, we go back at least 5 minutes, So he has a great sense of humor. He's willing to, be bothered by guests, right? Because I feel like that's what we are right now. And Mark was just in awe, like sitting there listening to him. So now we skip ahead a few hours and I still haven't gotten Nicole in front of him. So they had some great music playing. They had a DJ going, right? They had some great music playing. And I start dancing in the sidewalk. And Don Hahn sees me and he starts walking up and he starts dancing. And I'm like, Don, let's do it. Let's start a dance party. So he comes over, we talk a little bit. And I said, I'd like to introduce you to my daughter. So Nicole gets up, comes over. And he's like, hello, Nicole, how are you? And she's like, I'm good. And he's like, my name's Don Hahn. He's like, I am responsible for some of the movies of your childhood. He's like, not completely responsible. Like, I didn't do the drawings or anything. I just behind the camera, da, 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 da. And she's like, And he goes, tell me what you're interested in, Nicole. And she looks at me like, should I tell him? And I'm like, And she's like, you could see it. Like, I don't know if I should tell him. I'm like, tell him. Go ahead, tell him. So my daughter loves bugs. She wants to be an entomologist. She loves them. She cares for bugs. She finds bugs. She takes care of bugs. it drives me crazy as a mother that she loves bugs. She goes outside and cares for bugs. It's crazy. I kill bugs. She cares for bugs. Anyway, John goes, tell me why you love bugs. So now she's animated. Well, first of all, they like outnumber us by millions and da da da. And he's like, absolutely. I said, did you know Don makes documentaries to Nicole? And she's like, yeah, you told me about that. And he's like, have you ever thought that one day, if you work hard, you could make a documentary about the bugs that you love? And now she's like, oh, and she starts thinking, and she, you know what I mean? So I say to Don, I, as a parent, want to get her before all the people like you who have done amazing things that spark her mind. So we've had a connection to a National Geographic person down in Walt Disney World that we could get her in front of. And we had this other connection. And now we're meeting this filmmaker. And he turns to her and says, listen, I love what your parents are doing. They're putting you in front of the people to help energize you. But you got to do the work. You don't even want them to get you the gig. You got to earn the gig. But if you found something you really, really love and you're really good at it and you want, this is like your passion, you could do anything. Look at me. I am now doing blah, blah, blah for Disney. And she was just like, and I just saw this like light go, oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to do that? So to me, like superhero now. He's my superhero.
Well, I was going to say for you, you need to start bringing this up next year around Mother's Day. Because Mom of the Year, start talking about, I don't know how many children got to meet all the Disney experts, but somebody's mom made that happen. That's amazing.
Yeah. It was so, I gotta say, when you think about an event you're going to go to and you think about the things that you want to accomplish, and I knew that I wanted to accomplish marketing to meet people because I do a lot of travel without my family. Almost all of my travel is without my family. So I'm like, okay, we're going to Disneyland for 5 days, which everybody loves. And then we're going to do this Hollywood thing, which I'm going to do the one part alone. The Uncle Robert's house was just me. And then the barbecue was all 4 of us. So I'm like, I have to make these 2 things happen because I always get these benefits, but they never really do. So I'm like, I have to make these 2 things happen. I have to get my daughter in front of this one person, and I have to get my husband in front of this one person. And then my other daughter in front of the voice actors. So because she likes to create voices. And so I took her over to the voice of Minnie Mouse.
Oh, wow.
And I said, Lauren, I would like you to meet Caitlin. And Caitlin's like, so great to have you here at this barbecue. Blah, blah, blah. And Lauren's just like looking like, wait a minute, that voice. So then she keeps talking to Minnie the whole time. And Lauren was like, she wanted a picture. She was like, can I get a picture with her? You know what I mean? I'm like, and then she's like, she couldn't believe it. She was like, it was 10s across the board for me as a mom, as someone who, you know, it's just like the leader of this family, right? Like to be able to give all of this. Oh, it was the best.
You were feeling pretty good. It sounds like that's amazing.
I was. And I'm like, as much as I love the Disney of it all, it was, like I said, it still was Disney adjacent because it was, you know, it wasn't promoted anywhere in the world of Disney. You had to follow their people, like follow the Don Hahn, follow the Brett Iwan, voice of Mickey Mouse, follow Caitlin, the voice of Minnie, follow Floyd Norman, the animator. They all advertised on their Instagram that they would be doing an event at this location. And actually, here's my cup that they gave everybody, the Carolwood Barn Society, maybe. Yeah. July 19th, 1999 to July 19th, 2024 is the Walt Disney Carolwood Barn. So this is the barn that was on his property that is now in Griffith Park, which is You can go see this. It's one day a month. It's I think the third Sunday of every month. They're open to the public and it's a free place to visit
Oh,
in
that's cool.
LA.
Okay.
So you can go to the Carolwood barn for free, but you have to go a very specific day of the month. So
Oh,
it's every Sunday. And then I also got the same design on the cup as a pin.
nice. Yeah. Well, that's the kind of cool, like obscure thing that, the hardcore people will, freak out and see. So that's
Cool.
amazing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was, I mean, just hearing the stories for me, like, and listening to, so Don did it was so funny because like when I'm sitting, my family with Don and he's talking to Nicole and we're going through, what you want to be type of conversation,
Hmm.
someone walks up and they're like, "Excuse me, I'm so sorry, Don, have you eaten yet?" And he was like, "I'm sorry. No, I haven't eaten, but I'll eat. Don't worry." And they're like, "No, no, no. You're up next. You're up next. We need you to eat, and then you got to go." And he's like, "Oh, I'm talking to this family right now.
Oh,
I'm not really that hungry. I promise I'll eat, but I really want everybody here to eat before I eat." He's like, "Look at me. I
hmm.
could skip a meal, So so gracious beyond gracious. You know what I mean? So we talked to him like another 10 minutes. And then I said, "Listen, I know you say you don't need to eat, but you're going to talk for an hour. You probably need to drink some, so get some water in you." And he's like, "Yeah, I probably should." He's like, "I got a few more minutes." And we talked another couple minutes and then he's like, "All right, you're right. I'm gonna go get some water, get some iced tea, and then you'll see me up on the stage." And then they did this whole story of how this whole process came to be, the people who actually moved the barn, which were builders. There was a professional restoration person. All of those people were like on the stage, and then Joanna and her two sons were on the stage, and they talked about all those processes. It was super cool.
Well, that's the
Super,
kind
super
of
cool.
like Disney magic. I think that sometimes people worry about that is being forgotten. Nope, I'm talking to the people. I'm putting in. These people are going to have a story to tell forever. I'll be on stage. I'm
Yeah.
on stage. It's fine. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Where now,
Yeah.
sometimes people go,
And that's
"That's
just like, again, that's why he's a Disney legend. I talked to his wife just because we happened to be next to each other at one
hmm
point, and she's like, "Oh gosh, he loves this. He loves all of this." Like
hmm
she's like, they met working at Disney. She's like, "I worked for Disney. He loves Disney. He like these events, like that's like his thing."
hmm
And she's like, "But I just was a cast member." And I'm like, "Interesting." So, I mean, you just meet everybody you meet, you learn a story from. But for me, he definitely was the hero of that portion of the trip.
yeah." Well, it sounds really amazing. So